That's right, but it's right, it's a 22, it haven't been. Oh, 37. 37.
Sackville Street, the curfew drove the wrestlers side to side. Blackened times marched up and down, moonshine cold and dry. Shot was like a whip crack, rolled the first man off his feet. Died on bloody cobblestones while his comrades combed the street. All the reinforcements of the people from their beds, they were screaming, "Get the bastard!" But still in their heads. Found him in the cellar. He was only 17, fighting for his country, dying for green.
Anyway, you've done so well.
Sergeant dragged him by and beat him to the ground. Into this young man's body, he emptied everything down. Come out and take a look as he marched his troops away. They went in stony silence, such price to have to pay. Some mountain prayed beside him, but it's too late anyhow. Said he was a rebel then, he's a hero now. In '66 this country sang the praises of the dead. We didn't call them rebels, then we used patriots instead. On every household TV screen, we saw how hard they fought, how they spilled their nice blood, our freedom had been bought. The garden gates were opened up, the silent motorcades, cannons boomed and flags unfurled, solemn rings were laid. Prayers for those departed were called for loud and clear. For those who had been outlawed, but that was another year. The veterans lined up stiff and proud, their white hair ruled the wind, with their pride pinned to their gabardines, the thoughts upon their friends, and bitter wounds burst open, the scars of history went flying into our faces in stark reality. Just up the road in Sackville Street, but things are different now. They said he was a rebel then, but he's a hero now. Along the Falls Road, soldiers pushed their glances left and right. Kids of the English working class, soldiers overnight, tossed into the melting pot of bloody war and strife, never understanding and fearing for their lives. Out outside the Glen Road Brewery, oh, the bomb takes two away. The bomber's work is over, he's finished for the day. The terrorist or the dreamer, or the savage or the brave, it depends whose vote you're trying to catch, his face you're trying to shake.
Now, of those three answers, which do you reckon you will take?
There's tea and cakes in Downing Street, there's whispers in the hall. Let's move the cure of these young, now our backs are to the wall. There's panic down in Leinster House, where words are seldom scarce. Send someone to Glasnevin quick to remember Patrick Hughes. Once more his crucifixion, it seems a lie somehow. They said he was a rebel then, and he's a hero now. Once more his crucifixion, well, it seems a lie somehow. They said he was a rebel then, and he's a hero now. He's a hero now.
We're looking forward to your space on Team King's Joy. Let's only take your next answer, which is shiny. Again, this has to be right. Easy for those things.
As
So
the
shiny.
sun was
It's right.
setting over the bright
Okay, your first answer is right.
I'll
Was
share
shiny. It's still going down. 24.
set the heather blazing and brought the neighbors from far and near. Then Father Murphy from old Kilcarmack spurned up the rocks with a warning cry. Arm, arm, he cried, for I've come to lead you for Ireland's freedom. We fight or die.
Unfortunately, didn't manage to find out what point in time that race is. There's jackpot of 2000.
He led on against the coming soldiers and the cowardly yeomen. We put to flight. 'Twas at the Barrow, the boys of Wexford showed Bucky's regiment how to
It's solidly built based on his work as stand by being short.
look out for hirelings. King George of England spurned every king where from the county Wexford sweeps o'er the land.
The light flyer about flies on planes. You can love seeing things. And the rain hits through with somewhere. So it's very well
And then Scarly and Wexford starving drove out our foes. 'Twas such our pikes were reeking with the crimson stream of the beaten yeoes. At Tognery and Barriers for many patient lay in his day come over, the green flag floated from shore to shore. At Finnegan Hill, or the Pleasance Lady, our heroes they stood back to back, and the O's at Tullow took Father Murphy, and they burned his body upon God grant glory, great Father Murphy, and open heaven to all your men for the cause that called you may call tomorrow in another fight for the green again.
At 6 o'clock, BBC News on BBC One Scotland with Reese and What is Wrong with Sally Max. 19 of clinical fraud and blamed her alarm that you started to get quiet about her drug use. The celebrity chef admitted in court that she did take drugs, but strongly denied that she was a habitual user. Her daughter's decision is taken criticising what she calls a ridiculous sideshow of false allegations. Also tonight, new revelations about surveillance by British and American spy agencies, this time
Help us,
I'm 17 different agencies. Sexually abusing young girls in Rochdale. After 70 people are injured by ceiling collapsing in the London theatre, the safety checks on all the capital's historic theatres. Spreading the Christmas cheer, 4 years ago, I'm shocked at the time on a fall in Scotland. The Catholic Church is criticised by victims of terrorism.
And I found for me right
Good evening and welcome to two formations with the celebrity chef and their daughter having cleared that return to this island was weird and the witness was deeply disturbed and called for a reform of the court.
Give up terrorize their people, and I ran home that he brought this reign of terror. In the Mexico I thought about my lungs to outdoors. Why am I I love my country. I am not a bitter man. I to the and cold and faithful morning, I shook all freedom's hand.
for the documentation. So where exactly does this leave the
I need
reputation?
that you
Strode into court. She was walking into a maelstrom. The story that had it all: drugs, divorce, and intimate terrorism by Mr. Saatchi. And this detention had been going on for months, ever since a meal this summer at a swanky Mayfair restaurant, which led to a series of photos appearing in the papers. The image of Charles Saatchi's hand around Nigella Lawson's throat was the opening scene of the drama that then unfolded in court. She may not have been...
And I sang you're as free as a bird. But you shout in the stuff, but it's not what it seems to be. Those fellas would put you for the coat on your back. What that you got from your mother. So take care of the young couple and mind yourself back. Will you give this we know to your brother? At the time of the Benji was the policeman in Brooklyn. The father, the youngest, looked after the farm. Well, a phone call from America said, send the land over. The young fella said, sure it wouldn't do anything. For I spent my life working this dirty old town. For a few pints of porter and a smatter of a pound. Sure maybe there's something you learn. I'll see when you can bring it back home. Take it easy on. So I land and came out of a yellow taxi, carried me and me bags to the streets on the road. Well, me poor heart is thumping, around with excitement, hardly even heard what the driver was saying. Came in the short pathway to the flatlands in Brooklyn, to my uncle's apartment on East 54th. I was feeling so happy. I was from out of sound, and I sang you're as free as a bird. But I shouted the story when I found out that day when the Benji was shot down in an uptown parade. And while I was flying my way to New York, poor Benji was alive in a cold city morgue. But I phoned up the old fella, told him the news. I know Tony could hardly stand up in his shoes. And he went to go ahead with the plan. Don't forget, be up around Irish bar. So I went up to Nelly's beside Furham Road, and I started to learn about Lifter Road. But the heaviest thing that I carried that year was the bittersweet thoughts my hometown so dear. I went home that December, cause the owl had gone. Had to borrow the money from Phil on the side. With all the bright flowers of the wild tide, the blue wasted face of the father. I sold up the old barnyard for what it was worth. Into my bag stuck a handful of air. And I boarded the train, and I got me a plane, and I found myself back in the US again. It's been 22 years since I've set my end down. Been 30 years the correct life on fire. But I'll never forget the green grass and the rivers as I keep laughing down in the streets of New York. Come on, let's hear you.
A European Commission spokesperson said they had raised the allegations in the US and UK and said it's true. They were unacceptable and deserve responsible condemnation. I could be really going to be expecting from partners, let alone from our own member states, they said. The only British comment today was from GCHQ, which said it did not comment on intelligence matters and operated under one of the strongest systems of democratic accountability in the world. One of the charities involved also expressed their surprise. Well, we're bewildered by these extraordinary allegations. Our doctors, nurses and midwives are no threat to national security. I mean, British taxpayers will be horrified that taxpayers' money has been wasted on snooping on aid workers.
Of course, other countries spy too, including other European allies. Having your secrets exposed is always embarrassing and can lead to difficult questions. Gordon Carrera, BBC News.
A widespread pattern of weaknesses and failures. That's one of the conclusions of 2 serious case reviews of how 7 young girls were groomed and sexually exploited in Rochdale between 2003 and 2013. All 17 agencies involved in the cases, including charities, social services and the police, that could have acted to predict or prevent a significant part of the abuse, failed. And in a separate case, 5 men have been jailed today for the prolonged abuse of another young girl in Rochdale, as Jeremy Cook reports.
Convicted of child sex abuse in court to be handed sentences totaling 26.5 years. Today's case once again centres on Rochdale, once again involves the exploitation of a young girl, once again has prompted police to admit they got it wrong. It took some 4 years to get from an original rape complaint to today's conclusion. It all sounds too familiar. Another victim failed by those who were supposed to protect her. Of course, this is not the first time that the streets of Rochdale have been the centre of an investigation into sexual exploitation of young women. Last year, 9 men were convicted and sentenced, but only after some of their victims suffered years of abuse. The girls would hang around food takeaway shops, be given drink and drugs, then repeatedly sexually abused. The case prompted today's report into what emerged as a widespread problem in Rochdale. It asked what went wrong and who is to blame. It concluded everything and everybody. Failures by all 17 agencies involved. Greater Manchester Police admit mistakes, but they say they were dealing with young girls who did not see themselves as victims.
I think a particular culture of hopelessness had been created in Rochdale. We had at that time a particular group of girls who were being abused, who did not recognise themselves as victims. Clearly, witnesses to social services as well. And the trouble was that the culture of hopelessness had been created.
A key issue emerges. Today's report says one girl reported being raped in 2007, but that no investigation followed. It's a failing which may have discouraged other girls to come forward. An important lesson.
Just listen to young people, respect them, listen, and most of all make sure that we're proactive, because often they'll disclose little bits of information and test out. The biggest fear for young women is that they will retribution in terms of it.
The court case in Liverpool was the subject of high security and media attention, but at least it got to trial. The Crown Prosecution Service is heavily criticised today for failure to bring some cases to court. Their message now, things have changed. Victims of sexual abuse will be heard and taken seriously.
The landscape had to change. It took this case for the landscape to change. And additionally, I make the point that people who may have been victims in 2003, 1993, who feel grace, confident enough now to come forward, will get justice.
Already, several key decision makers have been replaced, but the failings here have consequences which the victims will carry forward into their adult lives. Early Cook, BBC News, Rochdale.
Safety checks have been carried out at every single historic theatre in London's West End after seeing collapse of the audience at the Apollo Theatre last night. 2 people have been in hospital, more than 70 were injured. Surveyors say the Apollo's ceiling is now sound, with investigations continuing into how the accident happened.
It's been at the heart of London's West End for over 100 years. Tonight the doors of the Apollo Theatre are locked as engineers and police investigators try to establish the cause of a collapse which sent over 700 frightened theatre-goers hurrying to the exits. A BBC team were filming with London's ambulance service when the first emergency calls came in. Paramedics found dozens of dazed and injured people in the street outside. Some were taken aboard a bus, carrying them to nearby hospitals. As far as we know, the collapse was
And I think I just got a bad shot back in the head, the next thing I know,
Theatres became casualty clearing stations as paramedics treated dozens of theatre goers, some with head injuries, others with breathing difficulties after inhaling dust. One of the actors said, "Watch out," and in a split second, a loud bang, and the whole place covered in dust and debris flying everywhere. These photos show the ornate interior of the Edwardian Theatre and the decorated plasterwork above the audience areas. The fire brigade say a section of around 10 square metres broke away, striking the front of the dress circle as it fell.
Stalls are covered with debris from the ceiling, there's a lot of dust, there's bits of timber hanging down, so it's quite a mess in there. But as I say, we've established that the scene is now safe.
The Apollo's layout and elaborate decor is echoed here at the Noel Coward Theatre. It too has been adapted to cope with productions that its founders could never have envisaged. Most of central London's 52 theatres are over 100 years old, and that does pose a challenge for their owners. But safety is paramount. Ceilings have to be checked every 3 years. In fact, they are checked far more often than that. It's terrible when incidents like last night happen, but you know, it is a one-off incident, and our theatres are safe for the public. Tonight, Theatreland is thronged once more. This was a rare incident, but identifying its cause and possible remedies remain clear priorities. Robert Hall, BBC News, in the West End of London.
Exactly at 6:15. Our top story this evening. Adela Lawson's two assistants are cleared of fraud. They had claimed they were allowed to spend huge sums if they kept quiet about her drug use. Coming up, quit or be sacked, how the Cardiff chairman told his manager that he was no longer required.
And coming out from report in Scotland at 6:30.
Marking the 25th anniversary of the explosion of Pan Am 103 over Lockerbie. How cutting-edge medical techniques put this heart attack victim on the road to recovery. As if you didn't know it, there are 4 days left to get your Christmas shopping done, and retailers say they know a battle is on to persuade us to part with our cash. Researchers say they're expecting £12 billion to be spent over the next 4 days. That's as much as we spend in 2 weeks. Online sales are projected to be 28% higher than this time last year. However, nearly 75% of shops are already having sales, slightly less than 2012. The discounts are bigger. Emma Simpson joins us now from Oxford Street in London's busy West End. Emma.
Well, the shoppers are out in force here tonight. You can probably hear the Salvation Army band too. But this hasn't been a great season so far for retailers, Fiona. People may be feeling more confident. In fact, we had new evidence out today that the UK economy has been growing faster than previously thought. But people still feel under financial pressure, and retailers are hoping that the damage to the shops is finally getting underway. You can't miss the discounts on the high street. It's been a slow start to festive trading, and prices are being cut to persuade shoppers to spend. Here in Bristol today, people were on the lookout for deals.
We've managed to get since we wanted.
I think there's much change from the previous years.
You never know what's coming around the corner, do you? So, yeah, it's on a budget this year. But don't tell me till the time.
We leave Christmas late every year, but this year it seems later than ever.
That makes retailers very nervous. They've got a lot of stock, they've discounted to try and shift it and to try and get people in store. It's great news for consumers, there's lots of bargains, it's not so good for retail margins.
In other words, profits. Some city analysts have already been cutting their forecasts for several retailers. Order online and pick up in store. Click and collect is one of the reasons why shoppers are more confident to wait until the last minute.
And in the future, it could be.
The boss of Argos, Terry Duddy, is one of retail's longest serving CEOs. He thinks it's more competitive than ever.
Over the years, it's got tougher and tougher. But this is the game that we're in. This is the opportunity for retailers to prove themselves. These last few days,
retailers would find out whether they made the targets or didn't make the targets. Was it a good Christmas for them? Was it a bad Christmas for them? And what it comes down to is not just competitive on price, but availability of product and providing great service.
Retailers certainly hope so. There are predictions that overall this festive season will prove better than last. It's just unlikely to be a bumper one.
Now, on my back of the envelope calculation, Fiona, there's just under 50 shopping hours to go. That could make all the difference for retailers, and as ever, there will be winners and losers.
Emma Simpson, Oxford, thank you. Labour says it will give councils the power to ban high-stakes gambling machines from betting shops if it wins the next election. Ed Miliband said the machines were spreading like an epidemic in parts of Britain, and that they were creating debt for the poorest families.
Many councils have come to us and said this is causing real misery in our community, this is causing addiction to gambling, people are going in for a casual bet in the betting shop and then getting hooked on these machines.
Two former soldiers who threw petrol bombs at a mosque in Grimsby have both been jailed for 6 years. The attack took place just 4 days after Fusilier Lee Rigby was killed, just one of the wider repercussions of the soldiers' horrific murder. June Kelly reports.
It was described today as an act of retribution. 4 days after the Woolwich murder, Stuart Harness and Gavin Humphreys launched a petrol bomb attack on this mosque in Grimsby. Inside, Muslims at prayer. Their own CCTV had recorded them making the bombs, and they mistakenly thought the CCTV at the mosque wasn't turned on. Muslims praying inside raised the alarm. During his army career, Harness had been based at Woolwich. Today, both he and Humphreys were jailed for 6 years.
The very reason that this mosque was targeted was because of the defendants' false belief that Muslim religion was responsible for what happened and the tragic events in Woolwich. And so the judge has taken that into account in his sentencing remarks today.
The murder of Lee Rigby led to a spate of anti-Muslim incidents. The killers were condemned by Muslim leaders with the message that they were not true representatives of Islam. Both had chosen the radical path. This was one of them, Michael Adewale, at a demonstration at St Paul's Cathedral 5 months before he went on to kill. Also present was the well-known extremist Anjem Choudhury. He's said to have been an influence on the other killer, Michael Adewale. This was them both protesting together. Today, in a BBC interview, Anjem Choudhury repeatedly refused to condemn the murder of Lee Rigby.
Forever.
At one mosque in London today, the imam made plain what he thought of the killer's defence that they were soldiers of Allah.
How can you claim to be the soldier of Allah? But there is no, I cannot even iota of Allah's qualities and attributes in you.
And he was also blunt over Anjem Choudhury's refusal to condemn the killing.
The Muslim community, wherever I've gone, has said one single thing. Outraged by He would not get away with it if it was a Muslim country. He's abusing the democracy and freedom we give him.
Ever since the 7/7 attacks, successive governments have had programs in place to try to de-radicalise young Muslims. In the wake of the Woolwich murder, new measures were announced to tackle extremism. The death of Lee Rigby demonstrates the scale of the challenge. June Kelly, BBC News.
The Russian oligarch Mikhail Khodorkovsky, jailed for 10 years for Chinese embezzlement, has been freed from prison in Siberia. He was once Russia's richest man and had used his wealth to fund off. President Putin signed a decree pardoning his former position in Poland on humanitarian grounds. Our diplomatic correspondent.
Mikhail Khodorkovsky being welcomed to Berlin Airport today by the former German Foreign Minister, whisked away for his first taste of freedom, a former oligarch who became Russia's most famous political prisoner. Only this morning he was still behind bars in this remote and snowy penal colony in northwest Russia. Then came this presidential decree to secure his liberty. It was Mr. Putin himself who confirmed he was prepared to offer clemency after Mr. Khodorkovsky requested a pardon so he could see his aging parents again. An extraordinary turnaround after 10 years of rivalry between president and prisoner, a move that no one was expecting. Once Mikhail Hodorkovsky was a powerful oil magnate, Russia's richest man. Then he was put on trial and charged with fraud and tax evasion. He always insisted he was innocent, the victim of a Kremlin plot to prevent him from challenging Mr. Putin. So why is he being released now? Well, it comes as a wider prison amnesty looks set to release protesters from Greenpeace, including some Britons, and the Pussy Riot rock band. So possibly it's all aimed at improving Russia's image ahead of next year's Winter Olympics in Sochi. But maybe it's also a signal that President Putin no longer fears opposition rivals, so he can afford to be generous in releasing them. Bridget Kendall, BBC News.
Quit or be sacked. That was the ultimatum to Cardiff City manager Malcolm Mackay, given by the club's owner in an email. The Malaysian chairman, Vincent Tan, didn't pull his punches. He criticised Mackay's signings, his style of play, and his results. And tonight, he flew into Britain on the hunt for a new coach. And here's Swiss reports.
One of Britain's brightest managers and one of the world's richest men. Malcolm Mackay and Vincent Tan have never exactly been close, but after taking Cardiff to the top, they've hit rock bottom. In a nutshell, Mackay asked for more players, Tan told him to resign or be sacked. The manager was conspicuously absent from his usual press conference today, leaving his assistant with some awkward questions.
I'm here just really to talk about the Liverpool game tomorrow. Give me a question about that football match tomorrow, then I'll answer.
Vincent Tan, a Malaysian businessman, is no stranger to drastic measures. Early this year, fans demonstrated after he changed the club's colours from blue to red. They were demonstrating again today, loyal to their manager, livid with what they see as an interfering owner.
There's no rhyme, reason or sense to why this is happening. They're trying to tell us that we're about to lose the best manager that we've ever had at this club.
The owner has put a lot of money into the club, which we appreciate, but he's taken some decisions which have alienated fans.
Vincent Tan's money may have helped transform Cardiff City into a Premier League force, but with his cash has come control and controversy.
I find it astonishing that there's talk about him leaving there. Absolutely astonishing. My only conclusion when I look from the outside is that you've got a business guy who's operating the club. He knows absolutely nothing about football.
And so a year which saw promotion celebrations is ending on the sourest note. A sporting marriage destined, it seems, for the messiest divorce. Andy Swiss, BBC News, Cardiff.
Have a look at the weather now. Alex Deacon is here. How's it looking?
Well, I think many of us would like to sack the weather. I think the forecast over the next few days, more of the stormy conditions heading our way, more heavy rain that could cause some flooding and more very strong winds. It's all likely to cause some travel problems in the run-up to Christmas. And then Christmas Day itself, well, it might just turn a little bit colder. It's far from cold out there tonight, though. There's a bank of rain and some very strong winds, particularly around western coast, spreading its way east and then lingering in the south. Further north, there will be some clearer spells. Temperatures generally staying well above freezing. Now this line of rain lingers in the south. It's still there in the morning. In fact, it will rain for a good part of the day across the southeast, drying up in parts of the southwest. That rain spreading up across East Anglia and parts of the Midlands. Further north, it's a case of sunshine, but frequent bands of showers really whizzing across the UK. Some of those showers will be heavy. A little bit of snow, but really only over the tops of the hills and mountains in Scotland. Across the northeast of Scotland, well, there should be some sunny spells. Sunny spells, but fairly frequent showers moving across Northern Ireland and through much of Northern England. Temperatures, though, well, might just get into double figures here. Quite grey across East Anglia in the afternoon. Outbreaks of rain continuing here. Slow to clear from the southeast late in the afternoon. It will brighten up a touch across the southwest. We need to keep an eye on this line of intense rain. That's going to turn things squally. The wind's really whipping up quickly as that band of intense showers moves quickly across England and Wales. To cause a lot of spray, a lot of surface water on the roads tomorrow night. That's out of the way, and then we're left with sunshine and showers on Sunday. It should be a brighter day across the southeast corner. Showers mostly in the west. A bit more snow coming in on the higher ground because it will be colder on Sunday. Temperatures widely only in single figures. And then potentially turning stormy again on Monday and Tuesday. Some very strong winds. Now, a lot of you have been travelling around. If you do have travel plans for Christmas, with a website. We'll keep you updated with the forecast and, of course, okay. It's all from the BBC News at 6. It's goodbye from me, and on BBC One we can now go to Bye.
Tonight on Report in Scotland, the Catholic Church is criticised by political challenges. Former pupils at 2 Catholic boarding schools claim the Church has abandoned them.
Do the Christian thing. That's what Christianity's about.
Also tonight, the mother of a child left blind and deaf after being struck by a fly calls for better education about the bug.
And the smell of burning in the air.
Our reporter Willie Johnston reported on the Lockerbie bombing in 1988. 25 years on, he looks back at the Pan Am disaster. And the Scottish manager who took Cardiff into the English Premier League looks set to lose his job.
And I'll be finding out how we're getting ready to get away for Christmas.
The Catholic Church in Scotland has come under attack for the way it treats abuse victims. Almost 5 months since we revealed the child sex abuse scandal at 2 prestigious Catholic boarding schools, BBC Scotland can reveal that no senior parent has sought out any of the victims to offer support. It comes as BBC Scotland's investigation into the scandal continues. Our investigations correspondent Mark Daly has this report.
Physical and sexual abuse at 2 of Scotland's Catholic boarding schools, spanning 5 decades. The Catholic Church's initial reaction to the Fort Augusta scandal was nothing to do with them. It was the Benedictines, the religious authorities who ran the schools. But as the story escalated, one of the Church's most senior bishops,
we're anxious that the police investigation will come down to the victims.
So what happened next? BBC asked in our programme what the Church had done since the statement.
Absolutely nothing. There's been no contact. And as far as I'm aware, nobody else has had any positive approach.
Like David Wallace, Donald McClellan was abused by this monk, Aidan Duggan. Donald is now considering legal action. What he says is for the Church to reach out to him.
I have some contact, because I knew you had contact me.
What did you expect the Church to do?
To live up to the responsibility and do the Christian thing. Help people in their care of suffering. That's what Christianity's about.
We asked why the Church failed to follow up the Bishop's words. A spokesman said,
implicit in the Bishop's words was the belief that everything that can be done should be done by those responsible. It would be both illogical and unreasonable to ask or expect those who are not responsible to respond. The Church continues to remain open to hearing from anyone who has suffered abuse within our Catholic communities.
The spokesman added that at least one former pupil had been referred to Benedictine's president, Archbishop Yo, who has twice visited Fort Augustus since the scandal. A major police investigation is underway, and today 3 men have been referred to Crown prosecutors by police. The BBC understands that one of those reported is this former monk, Dennis Chrysostom Alexander, confronted by BBC Scotland earlier this year. More Crown referrals are likely, and BBC Scotland continue to investigate both at home and abroad. Mark Daly, Report in Scotland.
A man who attacked and injured a newborn baby has escaped a prison sentence, despite the sheriff describing his behaviour as unpardonable. 21-year-old Nathan Allen was sentenced to community service for assaulting the 3-week-old girl in November last year while she was in his care at a house in Aberdeen. The infant suffered a brain hemorrhage. The children's charity, NSPCC Scotland, said tonight it believed Allen should have been jailed. The man's been convicted of killing the former leader of East Bartonshire Council with a single punch. 50-year-old John Morrison had been on a Christmas night out with friends when he was attacked by Darren Murphy in Glasgow city centre. The High Court heard that Murphy then went to a nightclub with friends, leaving his victim dying. He'll be sentenced next month. He's described as the most severely affected surviving patient of the worst strain of E. coli and has been left deaf, blind and needing almost daily dialysis. Now the mother of 3-year-old Bo Cox, Cox Bug at a nursery in Aberdeenshire, is calling for better education about E. coli 0157. Kevin Keane reports.
It's one of the things he craves the most, but 3-year-old Bo Cox can have just 200 millilitres of water a day. Controlling his water intake is the tip of the iceberg for Bo. He's had 16 operations, his kidneys don't function, only a quarter of his bowel is left, and he's both blind and deaf.
He can often be vomiting and diarrhea when he can have up to 20 millilitres a day. It's gross.
Today, Bo faces 2.5 hours of dialysis to